Welcome to Mountain Mama, a family lifestyle channel. My name is Mary Silverberg. I am the mother of 6 grown-up children and I have 3 grandchildren. And I like to share topics like faith, food, fashion, function, and fun. Today I'm sharing a recipe from my mother's turkey stuffing. My dad, my brothers and sisters, myself, we all loved this stuffing growing up, and now my children love it too. And just in case you think I'm biased, I have brought this stuffing to fellowship, Thanksgiving, dinner at church, and it's a winner. So I'm going to share this recipe today, but before we get started, I have to explain a few things to you. I always make a double recipe. I will link the recipe in the description box below, and that will be for a single recipe. So for the purposes of making this demonstration, I'm going to be making a double recipe. I like to make this recipe a day ahead of time to cut down on stress on the day I'm making my huge turkey dinner. But if I don't make it a day ahead of time, I always cut the bread a day ahead of time, and that helps a lot too. Now the recipe calls for white bread. I like to use potato bread, and I use the 1.5 pound loaf. So for the recipe today that I'm going to share with you, I used 2 loaves that are the 1.5 pound size potato bread. I will peel and cut up my apples and saute them in butter until they're soft and tender, and this way they're going to be cooked just right in my stuffing. Now, if I was going to put all this stuffing in a turkey and cook it in the oven, I wouldn't have to do that. But cooking it in a casserole dish, I find that the apples don't cook all the way. So I'm going to saute them in butter till they're soft and tender and then mix them in with my stuffing. Now this is very important. My mother used fresh chopped onions in her recipe, and she would saute them in shortening in a pan with the celery. And if you do it this way, it's very important that those are the only 3 ingredients you have in that pan, because you want to make sure that your celery and your onions come to a nice golden brown color before you add all your seasonings. Because if you add your seasonings right away, it's going to really darken that mixture, and you won't be able to tell if your onions and your celery are golden brown, and you might cook it too long or too short of a time. Now, I like to use dried onions because my husband has a hard time with the smell of onions cooking in the house. So what I do is I cook my celery in the vegetable oil. I get it till it's nice and tender and just starts to shrink up and turn a slightly golden brown color, and then I will add my onions and my seasonings and just cook it for another minute or 2, and then it's done. This recipe calls for water or turkey broth. I always use the turkey broth because I find the water doesn't add enough flavor unless you're planning on cooking it in the bird, which I don't do. So I always use the turkey broth, and it's very hard to find turkey broth. I found that chicken broth tastes exactly the same. I can't tell the difference. So more times than not, when I make this stuffing, I use chicken broth. Let's talk cookware. I like to use a heavy ceramic baking dish that has a tight-fitting domed lid. This one is by Rachel Ray. And what happens is all the moisture, when the steam rises to the top, it hits the top of this, and then it melts and goes down the side. So you constantly have this mixture of moisture going through the stuffing, and it creates a beautiful texture. It's the same texture as if you had cooked this inside the bird without all the hassle. And this is another example of that same kind of cookware, ceramic cookware. I got this one from Costco years ago. It has the domed lid, so as that steam rises, it hits the top of the lid, it melts, and it goes back down, and it creates this circle of moisture going through your stuffing. And it's tight fitting, and it works beautifully. This makes such a difference in the texture of my stuffing. I just love it. Are you ready to cook this stuffing? Let's get this recipe started. This stuffing is amazing. It is absolutely delicious. It is my favorite part of a turkey dinner. If you would like to see more recipes by Mountain Mama, I will post a link in the description box below. Check it out. You know what? I am so thankful for the wonderful mother that I had. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.